Mac. I woke up to an empty mug and a missing slice of history. No coffee, no pizza. Nothing left but silence and ashes of our morning ritual. The words rang out across the cramped mess hall of the CosmoDawn, the flagship of Earth's renegade fleet. Around him, voices rose in a chaotic symphony of disbelief and fury. Outside, the vast expanse of space framed the station, a silent witness to humanity's most absurd crisis. And the dim light of the early shift, Captain Marcus Mac Rivers stood at the head of a makeshift table strewn with holographic news feeds and ancient family photographs of bustling cafés and lively pizza parlors. His eyes burned with indignation as he paced, the soft hum of the station's engines punctuating his every word. Sera, 30s, sharp and steady, stepped forward, her tone measured but laced with urgency. Mac, this isn't just about your morning caffeine fix. The news is clear. The Cerebris on Barista Prime have banned coffee. And with it, they've eradicated our beloved pizza recipes from the annals of interstellar cuisine. The tension in the room was palpable. Even JX, a fiery young rebel with restless eyes, who usually thrived on bravado, looked almost subdued as he absorbed the gravity of the situation. His knuckles whitened around the handle of a weathered datapad that displayed images of empty cafés and desolate kitchens. JX. They think they can erase our culture with a single decree? That by banning coffee, they can rob us of our spirit? I say it's time we remind the universe that food isn't just fuel. It's the heart of our identity. A low murmur of agreement rose from the assembled crew as Mac slammed his fist on the table. Listen up. We're more than a civilization of consumers. Our mornings, our meetings, our very souls are stirred by that first sip of coffee and enlivened by every slice of pizza. They've struck at the core of our heritage, and we won't stand for it. Beyond the station's thick, reinforced windows, the nebulae and starfields spun in a cosmic dance. The CosmoDawn was not merely a vessel. It was the last bastion of a people united by a common passion. And that passion, as Mac's voice thundered through the corridors, was about to ignite a rebellion that would echo across galaxies. As the meeting dispersed into a flurry of whispered plans and fervent handshakes, the narrative of their struggle began to take shape. The Cerebris, enigmatic aliens who ruled Barista Prime, had long preached that coffee was a destructive force, a harbinger of chaos and dependency. Their decree, proclaimed from the austere halls of the Brewery Citadel, had plunged an entire culture into disarray. With coffee outlawed, traditional pizza recipes vanished overnight, leaving a void that no substitute could ever fill. Later that morning, Mac convened a war room meeting in the command deck. The room was dimly lit by holographic star maps and tactical overlays of Barista Prime, a world whose surface shimmered with the eerie glow of geothermal vents and pulsating neon flora. Calvin, the fleet's quirky strategist with a penchant for culinary history, tapped a series of commands into the console.Calvin. Our reconnaissance drones have pinpointed the key distribution centers. If we can seize control of these nodes, we'll disrupt their supply chain and send a message that our cultural heritage cannot be contained. Sera interjected, her voice resonant with conviction. This isn't merely a military maneuver, it's a battle for our collective soul. Every cup of coffee, every slice of pizza represents freedom, creativity, and the unyielding human spirit. We're fighting to reclaim not just a beverage or a dish, but the right to savor life itself. Outside, in the swirling mists of space and on distant worlds, the seeds of rebellion were already germinating. Across star systems, dissidents rallied under banners emblazoned with steaming coffee cups and artfully rendered pizza slices. Social networks buzzed with messages like, "Caffeine for freedom," and "Pizza unites us all." As citizens of myriad planets declared their solidarity with Earth's plight in a clandestine rebel outpost on the fringes of Barista Prime's orbit, Lieutenant Jax convened with a group of insurgents known as the Bean Brigade. The outpost, hidden beneath the glow of bioluminescent fungal forests, was a haven of whispered conspiracies and fervent plans. Screens displayed vintage advertisements for coffee and pizza, relics of a time when the aroma of fresh brew and the sight of a golden crust united people across galaxies. JX. Voice low and impassioned, "My friends, the Cerebris have robbed us of our essence. But we are not without power. In every secret cafe, in every hidden kitchen, our culture survives. Tonight, we take the fight directly to the Brewery Citadel. We'll liberate the stockpiles of coffee beans and recover the lost recipes of our great pizzas. We will remind them that the spirit of humanity cannot be extinguished by a ban." The room erupted in murmurs of agreement as plans were hastily drawn on digital pads and secret channels crackled with encrypted messages. Every rebel, from the youngest rookie to the hardened veteran, understood that the stakes were higher than ever before. This was not a fight over trivial luxuries. It was a battle for the very identity of their civilization. Back aboard the CosmoDawn, Captain Mac paced before a colossal viewport that revealed the distant, forbidding silhouette of Barista Prime. The planet, a swirling canvas of vibrant hues and tumultuous weather patterns, loomed large in his mind as both a prize and a battleground. In that moment of introspection, the weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders like an unyielding anchor. Mac, quietly, to himself, "They may try to ban our coffee, but they can never ban the passion that defines us. Our rebellion will be as bold and relentless as the first light of dawn, a light that will burn away the darkness of tyranny." His inner monologue was interrupted by an urgent communication. A secure channel lit up the main console with a message from General Ivor, the cold, unyielding enforcer of the Cerebris decree. General Ivor, over intercom. "Dispassionately, your ultimatum is acknowledged, Captain Rivers. The Bureau of Cultural Purity stands ready to suppress any insurrection. Know this, the ban on coffee is a measure of progress, a safeguard against the chaos of dependency. Resistance is not only futile, it is counterproductive." Mac's eyes flared with defiance as he retorted, his voice echoing in the command chamber. "Progress? You call this progress? Stripping a civilization of its soul is not progress, it's tyranny. We will not yield our traditions to your sterile order." As tensions escalated, the narrative of the rebellion wove itself into every facet of life. In quiet moments between strategic meetings and covert operations, the human crew shared stories of coffee-fueled family gatherings and the simple joy of sharing a freshly baked slice of pizza with friends. These recollections were more than nostalgic musings. They were declarations of identity, resilient whispers of a past that they refused to let be erased. One evening, after a grueling day of planning and skirmishes with Cerebris patrols, Sera and Mac found solace on the observation deck. The panoramic view of distant stars and swirling galaxies provided a stark contrast to the turmoil unfolding on Barista Prime. Sera's gaze was soft yet determined as she turned to Mac. "Sera, every time I close my eyes, I see my grandmother's cafe warm, fragrant, filled with laughter and the clink of porcelain cups. We owe it to her, to all of us, to fight for that legacy. If the Cerebris succeed in silencing our flavor, they'll have silenced our very souls." Mac nodding slowly, "And that is something we cannot allow. We are fighting for more than just coffee and pizza. We are fighting for the right to live with passion, to savor every moment of our existence. Let them try to erase our identity. We will write our own destiny, one cup at a time." Across the galaxy, rebel cells mobilized. In hidden bunkers, in the shadow of ancient ruins, and in secret laboratories dedicated to preserving lost culinary arts, conspiracies flourished. The Bean Brigade's operatives, armed with stolen blueprints of long-forgotten espresso machines and encrypted data files containing historic pizza recipes, prepared for the decisive strike. Their objective was clear: infiltrate the Brewery Citadel, commandeer its central distribution hub, and broadcast the truth of the Cerebris' oppressive decree to every corner of the cosmos. In the dead of night, under the cover of a starless void, a rebel strike team, led by Jax, embarked on their perilous mission. They crept through the labyrinthine corridors of Barista Prime's lower levels, their footsteps silent on the metallic floors. The tension was electric as they bypassed security systems and disabled surveillance drones, every moment a heartbeat away from discovery. Jax, whispering into his comlink team, "We're at the central hub. Remember, our mission is to restore the flow of culture. Every bean we liberate, every recipe we recover, is a victory for our people. Let's bring the aroma of freedom back into this forsaken place." Meanwhile, back on the CosmoDawn, Calvin worked feverishly at his console, interfacing with the station's AI to coordinate the rebel fleet's maneuvers. His fingers flew over the holographic keyboard as he tracked the movements of the insurgents and adjusted flight paths for precision strikes. The screens displayed a tapestry of rebel victories and Cerebris countermeasures, a visual record of a war fought not with traditional weapons, but with the full force of cultural passion. "Calvin, rebel cells are online. We're initiating Phase 2, disruption of the Cerebris supply lines. Once the central hub is under our control, we'll trigger a network-wide broadcast. Let every inhabitant of Barista Prime, and every allied system, witnessed the rebirth of our heritage. The broadcast began, a cascade of images and messages transmitted across interstellar frequencies. Scenes of overflowing coffee cups, sizzling pizza ovens, and joyous gatherings filled every screen. The message was unequivocal. The Cerebris had tried to erase an entire way of life, but the human spirit, and that of their allies, was indomitable. In a tense standoff at the Brewery Citadel's main atrium, General Ivor and his enforcers faced the united might of the Rebel Alliance. The air was charged with defiant energy as Mac and Jax led the final charge. Laser beams and bursts of radiant energy intermingled with clouds of aromatic vapor, transforming the battlefield into a surreal canvas of conflict and rebellion. Mac, shouting over the clamor, for every lost cup, for every stolen recipe. Today, we reclaim our destiny. Our battle is not with weapons alone, but with the unyielding fire of our passion. General Ivor's voice came through on the comlink, icy and detached. Your resistance is noted, but futile. The decree stands, and order will be restored through discipline and control. X, smirking as he advanced. Order? You speak of order, but all we see is a barren future devoid of flavor. We fight for a future where every dawn begins with a burst of aroma, and every meal is a celebration of life. As the final clash raged, the rebel broadcast reached its zenith. Across countless planets, from bustling urban centers to remote frontier outposts, citizens paused in astonishment as the familiar symbols of their cherished cuisine illuminated screens and holograms. A chorus of voices rose in unison, echoing the rallying cry that had been forged in the hearts of rebels everywhere. All chanting, "Caffeine for freedom, pizza for the people." In that defining moment, the battle transcended the physical. It became a war of ideas, a contest of cultural identity and the human right to savor life's simple pleasures. The reverberations of that cry spread like wildfire, igniting protests, inspiring solidarity, and shattering the illusion of control the Cerebris had so meticulously constructed in the aftermath of the decisive skirmish. As the rebel forces secured the central hub and the Cerebris command structure wavered, Mac and Sera stood together amidst the ruins of the once imposing citadel. The taste of victory was palpable in the air, a heady blend of liberation and rebirth, as if the very atmosphere were infused with the essence of freshly ground coffee and oven-baked dough. Sera, softly, with reverence, look at this place, Mac. It's not just a building. It's the heart of a civilization we almost lost. Today, we've shown that our culture, our heritage, is unbreakable. Mac, with a tired smile, we fought for every bitter sip and every savory bite. And in doing so, we reminded the universe that life is meant to be tasted in all its forms. Rich, robust, and unapologetically free. As the rebel fleet prepared to depart, carrying with it the restored legacy of coffee and pizza, news of the uprising spread like starlight across the cosmos. In every corner of the galaxy, citizens, human and alien alike, celebrated the triumph of flavor over oppression. The rebellion had become a beacon of hope, a testament to the idea that even in a universe defined by conflict and conquest, culture could unite and inspire. Back on the CosmoDawn, as the crew gathered for one final toast with freshly brewed coffee and slices of authentic pizza, Mac raised his cup high. To freedom, he declared, his voice resonant with hope and defiance. To every soul that refuses to be silenced, and to the taste of life that can never be taken from us. The cheers that followed were thunderous, a promise that no matter how dark the night, the light of passion and tradition would always burn bright. And as the ship sailed into the infinite tapestry of space, the legacy of that epic rebellion echoed in every corner of the galaxy. A reminder that the simplest pleasures can spark the most profound revolutions, and that the human spirit, ever resilient, will always fight for its right to savor life. Mac, quietly, as the stars blurred past, we did it. We reclaimed more than just coffee and pizza, we reclaimed our destiny. And so, in a universe reborn through the unyielding force of flavor and passion, the revolution continued to brew, a ceaseless call to arms for every heart that dared to dream of a life lived fully, deliciously, and free.